Easy, boy.
Yes? Who's there?
It's Grace, Lou. I know you asked not to be disturbed, but... I'm sorry to interrupt.
What's so important?
You have to listen to this.
Grace holds up a cassette tape.
Grace, another time.
I know what the label says, but it's something entirely different. Please. It could be our ticket out of here.
Lou looks at Grace for a moment and studies the cassette tape. Then reluctantly nods. As the tape clicks on, Lou and Grace lean closer. The sound that fills the room is distorted but unmistakable. A familiar voice emerging from beneath the false label of Little Richard's Greatest Hits.
My name is Izzy Cohen, from the old city of Jerusalem. If you have this recording, I didn't survive all this hell that came upon earth. I'm with Ira Yehuda Cohen, founder of the Holy Temple Institute. Both of us arrived in the United States of America a little over a week ago now for the CFI event, and it has been, at least here in Washington D.C., utterly dismantled, unrecognizable. Ira's health is rapidly declining. I pray otherwise, but if the electricity doesn't come back on soon, I don't think he will make it through the week.
In the aftermath of the lightning storm, the world seemed to hold its breath for what came next. The air was thick with secrets and mysteries, and survival a matter of wit and will. But some secrets cannot stay hidden. This is the story of one such secret, Izzy's confession, etched into the fragile magnetic strip of a cassette tape. A confession that could both disrupt tradition and reshape the world. The horrors of the past week swirl in Lou and Grace's minds. The lightning storm, the global blackout, the night that reshaped their world, and the night Izzy came to them desperate for help. Izzy's voice, recorded in desperation, is more than a message. It's a haunting reminder of their own survival, of a night when the world was cast into darkness and chaos reigned. Izzy wasn't sure what woke him at first. His eyes flickered open, scanned the dark hotel room for clues. Whatever it was had illuminated the space moments ago, casting fleeting shadows. The sliding glass door window trembled, the echoes of rumbling and crackling sounds fading into the distance. Izzy sat up slowly, his pulse quickening as unease settled over him. What was that? Ira asked, sitting up in his bed. Outside, the chaos of car alarms and fleeing animals filled the air. Izzy crawled out of his bed, glanced over Washington, D.C., and stepped out onto the balcony. The city's lights flickered in the distance like dying embers. Fireworks, said Izzy. I think. At that moment, Ira's computer sprang to life. The sharp noise caught his attention. The screen displayed the image of the future rebuilt temple. He clicked the lamp between their beds. Izzy's phone flickered. A surge, maybe. He quickly unplugged it. The radio alarm clock flashed zeros. I don't think that was fireworks, Ira said. A faint crackling sound rumbled overhead, low and menacing. Izzy's eyes darted upward. In an instant, bolts of lightning tore through the sky again. A second wave. The hotel room was bathed in bursts of blinding electric light as the night erupts into chaos. Thousands of lightning strikes rain down at once, their brilliance forcing Izzy and Ira to shield their eyes. The room shook violently, each thunderous boom reverberating through the building. The hotel took the brunt of the storm, struck again and again, as paintings crashed off the wall and furniture toppled over. Suddenly, the window shattered in a cascade of jagged glass. A sharp sting sliced across Izzy's brow as shards whipped through the air. He hit the ground hard, his body aching and trembling, instinctively curling up into a ball for protection. The roar of the storm was deafening. Each strike made the very earth beneath them quake, as if the world itself was coming undone. Then, silence. And all electricity across the entire city went out, as if someone flipped a switch. A high-pitched ringing pierced Izzy's right ear, unrelenting despite his attempts to rub it away. The sound blurred into the chaos around him as Ira moved cautiously toward the shattered remains of the sliding glass window. Barefoot, he stepped over the jagged glass as though in a trance.
It seems like the end of the world has come upon us. But I know the prophecies. Hashem is not done with Israel. He can't be. To be honest, I don't know anymore.
Grace pauses the cassette, her hands shaking. Lou looks at her, bewildered. "Keep listening," she says. Ira froze, his eyes locked on the sky. Izzy quickly slipped on his shoes and rushed to join him, just in time to see the unthinkable. A plane plunging from the heavens. It crashed to the ground in a fiery explosion, the impact so intense it momentarily illuminated the burning city below. Echoes of distant screams rose through the streets as flames spread like a living force, leaping from one building to the next. The cries from outside blended with the growing panic inside the hotel. Smoke began to slither underneath the door, curling like a sort of warning. The heat intensified, pressing against them like an invisible hand, forcing them to act before it was too late. "We need to move," said Izzy. The hallway was dark, filled with thick smoke. Izzy turned on his phone's flashlight. People stumbled out of their rooms, faces twisted with fear and confusion. In the darkness, terrified voices rose from all directions, crying out for missing loved ones, their desperation cutting through the chaos. As Izzy stepped away from the door, he heard a man across the hall pounding on his hotel room door. He turned back to Ira. "Don't let the door shut." It was too late. The door shut behind Ira. Izzy pulled out the hotel digital key card. It didn't work. The hotel's electric grid had instantly failed. Izzy and Ira joined the flow of people towards the emergency stairwell. 2 flights down, a man stopped in front of them and grabbed Ira as he collapsed. His body was grotesque. His skin melted, his eyes wide in silent horror. Ira knelt to help, but the man was already dead. Smoke was thick and the oxygen running out. Izzy shone his light over the railing and spotted more people rushing up the stairs, smoke rising from below. The fire was directly below them. "We have to get to the other side of the hotel," said Izzy. Izzy yanked open the nearest floor's door and entered, pulling Ira with him. The hallway stretched ahead, unnaturally long and silent, but for the faint echo of a distant cry. A different cry, not the panic screams. Izzy froze mid-step and turned his head sharply, scanning the dim corridor. "Izzy, don't." Ira's voice was tight and almost pleading, but Izzy shook his head. "Go. Keep moving." Ira hesitated for a moment, his figure framed in the dim light before vanishing into the dark stairwell. His hurried steps echoed briefly, then faded into silence. At the far end of the hallway, something stirred. A hunched figure appeared, silhouetted against the flickering glow of the firelight. Izzy's pulse quickened as unease tightened its grip on him. He took a cautious step forward, the air growing thin and suffocating, as if the corridor itself was holding its breath. It was Anne, the pregnant woman he had met in the elevator earlier in the day before the Christians for Israel event. She was slumped over against the wall, her form small and fragile, her arms wrapped protectively around her stomach. Anne didn't move, didn't acknowledge him, even as he drew closer. Her quiet sobs echoed in the hallway, growing louder, more ragged, until the sound twisted into something unnatural, almost inhuman, reverberating off the walls and chilling Izzy to his core. Anne? Izzy's voice cracked, barely above a whisper. She slowly raised her head and tried to speak, but her words didn't come out. Tears poured down her face. But it wasn't her gaze that stopped him cold. It was her flat stomach. As Izzy reached for her, his heart stopped. The babies were gone. There was no blood, no signs of trauma. She stared at Izzy, her eyes hollow as if transfixed in a nightmare. She could see, in Izzy's face, he had no answers. Anne turned back towards the door handle with her electronic key. Nothing. She began to pull on the handle again and again. Suddenly, Ira grabbed Izzy's arm as tiny flames spread up one side of the wall. Smoke was filling the hall and continued to pour down through the gratings. "It's all going up in flames," said Ira. "We have to go now." Izzy tried to pull Anne away. She wouldn't budge, clinging to the door handle. Finally, the smoke overtook her, and she went limp into Izzy's arms. He struggled, carrying her down the stairwell, lungs burning, until they reached the lobby. A scene of chaos. Guests bottlenecked at the smashed window where a security guard had created an escape. Izzy and Ira forced their way through, glass cutting their arms as they finally stumbled outside. Outside, Ira collapsed, gasping for air. Anne stirred, eyes catching the stars, fading behind black smoke.
That night, something in us all died. Washington D.C. was ablaze. The screams filled the air. Across the street, I saw a woman on a railing of a burning building. As quickly as I noticed her, she did the unthinkable. She jumped. The woman fell from the apartment building, kicking her legs in the air, wrenching her body in a desperate spasm, as if she might somehow fly away. She dropped quickly, in a straight line, striking the concrete just before I closed my eyes, and was suddenly reminded of the woman in my dream, or should I say nightmares? It's a whole other story. They are beginning to come true. It's as if I've been given some sort of insight into the future. I'm not sure if I like that.